You say you need some comic book news and you want to hear about the best stuff that came out on the stands this week? You are in luck. We're going to be back in just a few seconds with Comic Book Spectrum.
Seconds.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
How dare you!
Well, we dare a lot. This is Comic Book Spectrum coming to you Thursday, August 18th, 2022. Thank you for joining us. We are brought to you tonight by, of course, Rising Tide Publications and Plasma Fire Graphics. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you, because it definitely matters to your readers. And now, we're going to just get into this show here and stop just fooling around. And it is my delight here to bring in our usual people here, and that is the one and only Eric S. Hawkins, the Pro Slayer himself, and Joe D. McFee from the desk of a small press publisher. Gentlemen, how the heck you doing?
Great. Couldn't be better.
It sounds convincing, Eric. Thank you.
Yeah, it does. Well, convincing.
I thought it was just me tonight, but anyway, no. I'm glad you guys are here, and we got to wish Clyde Hall, the gold standard, a happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary!
Yeah. I don't know. He's he in Virginia or still in the lovebird phase? Still in the honeymoon thing going on.
That's good.
And I think so. And anyway, they're a wonderful couple, and we wish you two all the best, and hope you're having a great celebration. Although, Clyde, how you could be having more fun than being here with us, I will never know. But anyway, let's roam around the room. And now Joe has muted himself because he has a visitor who is making noise. Joe, do you feel like introducing yourself?
Yeah, I could introduce myself. I'm just up here trying to time it in between. For those who don't know, I am Joe D. McFee. I'm the president of the C2C Studios, creator of Amazonia Primetime Saturday Night and the AWF series. And the cool thing about all of that is, eventually soon, you will be able to buy graded copies of our books directly from us here.
Woohoo!
We got our first shipment of stuff in here for some of our different variants and everything. So coming to a comic book show near you, you will be able to pick up graded books from us.
Excellent. And Joe will also be offering the special metal covers that have been arc welded onto the old issues, right?
Probably not.
I want that acetate tin grade.
Yeah, me too. That'd be great. And before Joe decides what kind of language he's going to use on us, check out From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher last Saturday night for an excellent show on what we're talking about. But we throw it now to the one, the only Eric S. Hawkins. Sir, introduce yourself, please.
Hey, I'm Eric Hawkins. I'm an independent comic creator. I write and draw and all that good stuff. And you can find me here every Thursday night. And just drawing comics and shipping comics and getting ready to ship out. Oh, let me grab this real quick. Oh. The Obsidians came in. My boys over in Europe. This thing is thick.
Yeah.
We went with the staple bound. I mean, it was right at the fringe of staple or perfect bound, but it turned out great. It turned out really good. Ooh, hey, that's my art on the back.
Nice.
That's what happens when you send me the print files and you short a page.
So
I fill it in with my shit.
There you go. So hire Eric S. Hawkins so that he has a platform to put his art on it.
Yep. That's it. I mean, just hang out with us every Thursday night.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Eric. And I'm Brian K. Morris, and I'm an independent producer of books, publisher, freelance, an award-winning freelance author and editor, Facebook famous YouTuber, and former mortician's assistant. I edit wonderful, wonderful comic books, I must say. And I'm also an award. Like I said, I won an award for a story in here, the Pulp Factory Award, and I'm also in part of this brand new book with Clyde Hall, Tim Bruckner, Jim Beard, Alessia Kent, and edited by Charles Milhouse from StormgatePress.com. Major Marjorie. It's a great book. Please check it out on Amazon. And we're working on all kinds of stuff to get out before the fall. And also, I want to make a quick announcement here. We thought we were getting a month off on our show appearances, but I will be appearing at the Geek and Comic Con at the Evansville Museum of Art and History and Science at 411 Southeast Riverside Drive in Evansville on August 27th on a Saturday. Please come see us. It's going to be a great, great time. And so here we are, and we also have comments to start our show. Yes, Donna Carlene, first in the day, Ma is laughing at Clyde Hall for some reason. Apparently,
yeah, you skipped the math. You skipped one.
No, it's not showing up on my page here.
But you still skipped it. You can't say no. You did.
That's because I see it came in at about 10 o'clock this morning.
Okay, that's why it only shows. It only starts at about well, you know this yourself, running a show, that what I'm seeing only starts about an hour before the scheduled show. What did Clyde say?
Clyde said, hi everyone. Joe, I will take number 38, please. What you mean comic book phone choices don't go that high?
We'll get you if it's the last thing we do, Clyde. Anyway, Don is giving us a countdown. Excuse me, Carl Witzman is finally here. We're glad to see that, and was watching the president of Muncie. That's not a European nation. Explain why the app has been down all day, and he's not a tech guy, so he squirmed a lot. Muncie is kind of like Pokemon Go, except it's for really cool people. That's why Carl wrote a book about it, available on Lulu.com. And it was glorious to watch. The Schadenfreude sounds quite thick on this one. And withholds comments because this is not the Green Room, which happens every Friday night around 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Uncle Carl's Secret Humor page. And if you aren't there, you don't know what it is. So there. Anyway, Jennifer Hawkins has joined us. Hello, all. Mwah, Jennifer, how you doing, sweetheart? Glad to see you. And everyone's saying hello. And Anna Maria Salvaggio is here. Hello, hello. Mwah to you. How you doing tonight, Red Mellion? Please check her out on the Kentucky Browncoats page on Facebook. Yes, Eric?
I'll just open up my Pokemon Go here and see what's around me.
Oh, there we go. There we go. There's probably one sitting on my shoulder right now. That's who's whispering advice, and it's the voice that commands me to kill. But anyway, Anna Maria, we're glad you're here. Mwah. Please check her out. Also, check out her Patreon page under the name Ren Mellion. She is awesome. She's an incredible creative force, and we love her. And Lissy, hello to you, darling. Mwah. Hope you're having a good evening so far, everyone said. And it's good to see you, Anna Maria. It's always a pleasure to have you aboard. And Carl's saying hello, and Rick Bradley is saying hello. How you doing, superstar? Yeah. Check out R&D Gaming on YouTube every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's a good show. It's a lot of fun with him and his son playing old video games. And Ted Davies Artistry, how you doing? Check out Thursday and Tuesday at 10 a.m. Good shows from Ted Davies Artistry there. Everyone's saying hello. So, I've not gotten a chance to watch it yet, but thoughts on episode number 1, She-Hulk. Now, I have not seen it either. So, gentlemen, have you seen it?
If anybody else keep telling me, hey, we want you to watch it now, it's like, look, I can't watch it now. I got other things I need to do. I will get to it when I get to
it. Eric, what did you think of it?
I liked it. Wasn't bad.
Okay. Well, that's
mostly listen to it. I didn't get to watch the whole thing, but while I'm working, I'll put it on and listen to it on the phone. So,
yeah.
Yeah, see, pretty good. I had no complaints.
Yeah, that's probably the problem with, people who are creative and have work to do. And Rick Bradley being an author, check him out on Amazon, would know this too, that, a lot of these shows are just background noise, except for me, I haven't had cable or satellite in over 10 years. And the funny thing is, I find, except for a couple of shows, I don't miss it. But it's things like She-Hulk and a lot of the Marvel streaming stuff that makes me wish that I, could get it just, what do you charge me for the next hour? Which is a phrase I'm used to using. But anyway, Lissy says, Nora and Fee say hi too. How you doing? Mwah to everyone. And Carl Witzman says, now you'll get a golden carrot Mudsy to make up for today. I think that's code. And hello, girls, says Jennifer Hawkins. And we made Anne-Marie blush. Aw. And Cool Bingo's, Carl, that's the least he can do for us. Oh. So while they're celebrating the poor man on the sitting on the coals of hell trying to explain an app he doesn't understand, which sounds like me most of the time, let's get started with the reviews. And of course, we're opening the phone lines. So, is the phone ready, Joe?
Yes, it is ready. Just let me know when we're starting.
We're starting.
Welcome to Comic Book Phone, the female-led character episode. Please listen closely because your choices have changed. For Strange number 2, press 1. For Hit Me number 2, please press 2. For Red Sonja, Red Sita, number 2, please press 3. For Nubia, Queen of the Amazons, number 1, please press 4. For Artemis Wanted, the one-shot, please press 5. Please select now.
All right. I've entered my vote. I think I did. Oh, got to turn on my numbers lock. There we go. All right, I have voted. And see, here we go here. Let's get the full screen here. So, folks, you've got the 5 candidates. Please cast your vote right now, except if you're watching on the rerun. We appreciate you. And you can still vote, but it's kind of like voting for Dewey on the day after Truman won. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, the votes are coming in. We've got, and first of all, though, folks, if you've enjoyed any part of this so far or plan to in the future, please like and consider subscribing to this channel. We've got all kinds of cool stuff that I'm writing out right now that is coming down the pike. And Rising Tide Publications has voted number 5. Donna Carlene has voted number 5, and Carl is voting number 1. Eric Hawkins is voting number 1. Jennifer Hawkins is going for number 1, and Ted doesn't want to see any of them.
Wow, that's brutal, Ted.
Brutal, Ted. Good Lord, we have lost Ted. Good God, Ted goes so goes the
Ted's
nation.
doing the vote that I would do for anything that he might have picked. So it is what it is.
Fair enough. But while we're waiting for the rest of your votes to come in, and our team of crack counters or counters who are on crack are tallying your votes, and we have one here from Lissy. She's voting for number 1. Jennifer's voting for number 1, and we will be back in just a moment to give you the results of this. But right now, we want to say a thank you to our Patreon subscribers. Patreon is a monthly subscription service where you can support your favorite creators directly. And if you want to support this show, plus other stuff that's coming up on the Rising Tide broadcasting here, then check us out at www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris. There's going to be another blog tomorrow, I think, because I think I published one a day early. But anyway, you'll get 3 this week. How exciting. And also, we also offer advanced looks at works in progress and all kinds of cool things. And some of the people that subscribe to my Patreon account have gotten an opportunity to name some of the characters in the terrors as they come up, and I realized I didn't make a name for them. But anyway, check us out at www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris. And also brought to you by Rising Tide Publications. Look for the terrors this fall coming out from Rising Tide. And also, we want to give a huge shout out to the one, the only Jeffrey Hayes and Plasma Fire Graphics. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasma Fire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
When you've worked so hard on that book that you want to publish, and you're not going to scrimp on the cover, are you? Well, fortunately, Jeffrey Hayes has some independent creator-friendly pricing on his work, and he does all the graphics you need, not just the cover, but he does all the graphics you need to sell that book on social media, along with other things. Like he just created a new logo design for me that I'm really in love with. We'll be unveiling that in the next few days. But anyway, check out what he does. Check out the Plasma Fire Graphics Facebook page, then go over to plasmafiregraphics.com and ask about the rates, okay? That's Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you, because it definitely matters to your readers. And thank you for your ongoing sponsorship, Jeffrey. And we are back. And I believe all the votes have been tallied.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I love your enthusiastic response, Joe. Thank you. And this is going to be a real calm night, I can tell.
I was thinking to myself, it's like, am I doing one or two? If my own appearance, like I know what one, and I'm thinking to myself, it's like, this might be a very short review.
Okay, hold on.
But it might be two. But then again, I want to give the people what they want. But just to let you know, in that if that cross section of 5,
yes,
out of 5, 2 on 1 came close to throwing.
Ooh.
Okay. My suggestion: review the winner, and then review one of the others and throw it.
No, I think
people love throwing.
I can't close.
Okay.
Because of what they did in the book, and I just like.
Okay.
I'm going to I might rant a bit if I do the one that's freshly on my mind right now.
Okay. Tell you what. Do a review of the one that wins, and then you pick it, the one that you almost threw, and I will limit your rant to 5 minutes. How's that?
Okay.
How's that sound?
The winning one might be the one he wants to throw, though.
No.
Oh.
I can tell you that right now. The winning one is not one that I wanted to throw.
I have a feeling I know which one it is. And if you if you haven't figured out which one it is, put it in the comments below. Let's see if you are correct. Okay. So we're going to give it to Joe, and Joe, take it away, my friend.
Now, the people have spoken, and what they have spoken into existence for tonight's review is Strange number 2. Now, Strange number 2, if I remember correctly, let me get this here, written by Jed McKay, penciled by Marcelo Ferreira, inked by Don Ho, H.O. Don't get anything twisted there. Java Tagla is the colorist on that, and they got a printing shop, VC Corey Pettit, for the lettering on this book here.
Okay. Now,
I know it's been a while since I did issue number 1. And issue no, yeah, okay. Oh, okay. So 5. There was no 8 and there was no 17. but we'll deal with the other book here in a second here, because I guess that's what 8 and 17 is going to deal with here.
We love you,
It's been
Cindy.
it's been a while since I talked about Strange #1. We know that Clea has taken over the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme here. In the very first issue, she punked Doom, Doctor Doom, out of his pretty much everything. And she's up here, trying to relax and trying to figure out what's the difference of being Sorcerer Supreme here on Earth as opposed to the dimension that she's from. Because remember, she's from a different dimension and she's really trying to get used to being here on Earth. And Wong is kind of like, showing her the ropes about how things really work on Earth and whatnot. So they went to this one bazaar, ran into a little bit of a problem, no big deal. However, in trying to figure out how to bring Stephen Strange back, the actual Doctor Strange back, this new character called the Harvestman ended up doing something, and somebody came back from the dead, and we don't know whom as of yet. So that's where this issue takes off at. So issue number 2 takes off from that point, and we immediately jump into this guy right here. He's singing his mac and cheese song as he's making mac and cheese and whatnot, and how much he loves mac and cheese, and in the middle of the storm, and then he's like, oh, what's that? And at the very bottom, it was like the apartment of Kevin Masterson, aka Thunderstrike #2. So it's kind of a how can you say, a faded omen as far as what is about to come. So then it flashes over to where Clea is actually finding Harvestman and the person that Harvestman brought back. So we don't know who he is as of yet. So they engage in mortal combat throughout the whole thing, and Clay is up here arguing with the Harvestmen as they're fighting. It's like, you're wasting all of this magic to bring back somebody other than other than Stephen Strange, and you're because of the way that this magic was used, you're keeping me from doing that. And I need to know if this individual is him or not. And Harvestman was like, no, by no means, that's not him. However, what she's asking is impossible. And we got already, 3 pages in, got our first ad about Stormbreakers and all their different covers and whatnot. And one for $20.99 Exodus here. Now, mind you, this is a book that's a couple of months old, so you should be able to get it at most comic book stores here. So with that being stated, she has her little bitty saying, talking about how she's Sorcerer Supreme and powers up and everything, and does what she does. And then we notice out of nowhere, the person that got brought back has a wannabe looking like Mjolnir. So Clea realized that it's like, oh, it's not Steven, it's somebody else. And that individual says Thunderstrike. It's not the Thunderstrike, but it's someone else who is close to it. So Clea actually tries to engage it in conversation, well, in her means of conversation, by trying to keep Harvestmen away from her so she can find out what's really going on. And then that's when the person who was brought back realized that Harvestman is really the enemy and whatnot. And he starts helping Clea, and then that's when Clea realized, oh, wait a second, he's using that like a mace and everything to that magnitude. It could only be one person, and that's not Thunderstrike, it's Masterson. If you know your Thor Lord, he was the replacement for Thor Odinson first before Thunderstrike came about. But he was looking for Thunderstrike. He was looking for his son. So Masterson was brought back from the dead and everything, and she's trying to figure out, well, what is it? What is making you so angry? Why are you so upset that, why is he so upset that Harvestman brought him back from the dead and everything? So to save Harvestman, she pretty much, cast a spell to remove his arms and whatnot, and then pretty much figured out it's like only thing that he wants is actual peace. And before he knew it, his head gets cut off again. You see it bouncing on the ground there, and whatever magic that brought him back from the dead was dispelled and everything. And then that brings us back to the confrontation between her and Clea. So Clea and Harvestman, kind of look at one another, and then pretty much it's left at that. So we're left hanging as far as what actually happened after that. So if fast forward back over to the Sanctum Sanctorum, where she finally gets back, she's relaxing, and Wong finally gets back, and they're having a conversation about everything that had happened, and the whole thing about, well, what could have really happened with Steven? It's like, is Steven really dead? Because again, magic just doesn't disappear like that. It would just take another form or shape if he did do what he did. So they're trying to talking about all the different things about revenants and stuff to that magnitude. Then all of a sudden they get a knock at the door, and that knock at the door was pretty much one of the vendors at the bazaar that she went to in the very first issue, and he brought some bad news. The people that she stopped in issue number 1 came back and destroyed everything. And after seeing the damage that was wrought, she's like, now I get to be my real self. I'm about to go to war. So she's about to deal out some magical justice on that so-called magical group that that destroyed this bazaar. And that's how the issue ends. Overall, it was like a nice little romp. It was more of a fighting episode, pretty much. And it didn't really do too much as far as building up Clea as a character, but it gave like a quick little homage to Masterson if you're following the old Thor arcs and whatnot. Seeing that Masterson making a quote-unquote zombie appearance. It was good for what it's worth. But for a second issue, per se, if I didn't know the history of Clea, it really wouldn't do me too much, good to make me want to get an issue number 3 at this point. Issue 1 made me interested to figure out what was going on here, and then the way that they handled issue number 2 to resolve the story is like, okay, it's resolved, but it really didn't build too much more as far as what was really going on since the death of Doctor Strange, and it really didn't build Clea up as a character into like the very, very end, where she actually, got angry about something that really wasn't anybody's fault, but the people who tried to enforce their will on a peaceful shopping area. With that being stated, I give Strange number 2 a 6 out of 10. It could have been a lot better, but then again, when I see, how can I put this? Books that focus more on action, as far as, battles and everything, if the battle itself does not lead into something that develops a ongoing story or a character or something unique that makes you want to pull you back into this book, it's kind of like a waste. And with Strange 2, it was like it resolved the overall fact of, telling us why she is looking for Steven, but at the same time, it didn't build anything else. It's just kind of like, okay, she fought the harvestmen. We get to see Masterson. That's it. It went nowhere beyond that. Is it good for a quick read? Yes, but beyond that, it's like, for me, who love ongoing series, this, to me, it's just like it felt like, back in the day for like the 1970s, where you have one self-contained story in each issue. If I would have expected that, I was like, yeah, this is pretty decent, but this is going to be an ongoing series, and you ended one part of the story arc, which didn't really lead into anything else, and then you started up another story at the very end. It's almost like you tacked it on, because there was no true resolution to whatever happened to the harvestman. So that's my review on Strange number 2, 6 out of 10 here. Now, for those who are curious about which book I almost threw,
The clock starts.
And lately, I have to say that this particular IP has done some things that I could see where they were trying to go with it, but then again, I kind of blame the writer for certain things where it just like, why did you do that? It was so stupid. It's ridiculous. But the book that I almost threw was Artemis Wanted, the one shot.
That's the one I thought.
I almost threw this for a couple of reasons here. Now, if those who were on my channel, I did the full run for all the story arcs for Trial of the Amazons, and Artemis Wanted takes off from that, from there, from the very end of Trials of the Amazon, because she was wanted for murder. She was wanted for the murder of Hippolyta. If you didn't know that, pause it here, go to my channel, look for the Trial of the Amazons review. I went over, I think, 7 different books. We went through the whole storyline. You'll find out everything there. We'll be right here. Don't worry about it on the reruns. We'll be right here. You can pause it and watch, and then you come back to this. So, with that being stated here, Artemis has been on the run, and and the rest of the Amazons are trying to track her down. So that's where this starts here. So pretty much, I'm not going to go page by page, blow by blow, but it pretty much starts off with like a little bit like a flashback about her history as a kid and everything, about how her parents were like heroes. They were military and everything, and then she received training and everything, and then she was having like different little bits of nightmares saying that she was a murderer. She betrayed the honor that she has and whatnot. So it was going back and forth, where she was like trying to get away from everything and being on the run. And you have Donna Troy and Cassandra Stansmart right on her heels and everything. And Cassandra was like, even though she's admitted that she murdered Hippolyta, Cassandra was like, there got to be something else that she's not telling us. Because why would she say, and she went back to something that was so insignificant that she said back in the Trials of the Amazons, that it kind of stuck with her. And then I remember what she said, and it's like, okay. So they're going to try to build everything up on this one point. Okay, good. So that's fine and dandy. Fast forward a little bit. So Artemis finally gets to this one town, and she was trying to look for supplies and everything. And she got there, everything was getting closed up and whatnot. And she happened to run into this little girl. And the little girl was like, "Hey, I need your help. There's monsters here. They won't leave us alone, and this, that, and the other." And she, how most Amazons are. They want to, listen and hear. She heard the little girl out, and she was like, And she was straight up and honest with this little girl. It's like, I don't know, if I'm the right person for this. If you need a murderer, I'm your person, but I'm no hero. And the little girl was like, what do you mean? It's like, everything about you says heroic. You just don't see it. I was like, okay, so redemption arc for a possible hero and whatnot. I was like, okay, I can see this happening, yada, yada, yada. So it keeps on going and everything. So she was out there, out her own during that night, and these creatures attacked that the little girl was telling her about. So now she knows that, this stuff is real. She goes back to the town that next morning, pretty much almost raised havoc until she meets up with somebody that she knew from her past that, understood what was going on. They ended up having a talk, ended up going back to her place. And that's when Cassandra and Donna Troy finds her. And it's like, okay, fine. We gotta take you back. This whole thing about murder and this, that, and the other. We gotta deal with this, that, and the other first. So they go out, they in the middle of these woods and everything, and pretty much it's like, okay, fine, what do you have to say for yourself? I really need to talk to you and everything.
1 minute.
And this is where I was about to get ready to throw the book, because Cassandra was like, hey, give us a few moments. Like, Donna's like, no, she betrayed us. It's like, there's no need for talk. We're about to deal with this now. So Donna and Artemis gets into this one scuffle and everything. It's like, but the thing that Donna didn't realize is that Artemis really wasn't fighting back at all. Even after all that, it's like Artemis still turned her back, knowing that it gives Donna the absolute advantage and whatnot. And she's up here begging Donna to end her life. And I was like, okay, this is getting good and everything. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we have somebody popping out of nowhere.
Time.
Oh, I didn't rant yet. I'm just telling her. But this is the reason.
You had 5 minutes.
This is the reason why. I wanted to throw it. Guess who that is? They're saying now Hippolyta's not dead. She transcended to Olympus.
Well, yeah.
No one dies in comic books.
Yeah, really. Just Uncle Ben. That's it.
No, it's just a simple fact that it's like they even asked her, it's like, well, how come you didn't tell the rest of the tribes that you had to transcend? Oh, it's all part of the plan. It was just the best way to do it. It's like,
that's what the Wonder Girls get for not showing up at all the meetings.
no. Diana didn't know. Nubia didn't know. The only person that knew was Artemis, because Hippolyta specifically told Artemis not to tell anybody. This was Hippolyta's doing from the very beginning, according to this story. But then again, now I begin to understand why some people don't care too much for Vita Ayala's writing. Everything was good until that point where it's like, oh, Hippolyta's still alive. She transcended. I should have said something before now. I should have came back to all the tribes and say, hey, I have transcended. I'm still around. This, that.
Did they check her Twitter feed or something?
No.
Damn it.
If it wasn't for that moment, this book would have been excellent. It would have been excellent because, again, you would have had a redemption arc for Artemis again, because we didn't have a story like this in a long while since Artemis Requiem, if you remember that miniseries.
And I was thinking, I thought she had a redemption arc in, Red Hood and the Outlaws.
I don't read that one. So I would not have known about that.
I did. I'm the only one. That's why it's canceled.
Yeah, but for this one shot to do something like that, it was just ready. It's like that one part made me come that close to tossing.
No, I understand, because my I'm very open about my criticism of The Killing Joke by Alan Moore and Brian Boland. It's a great, great book. One of the best Batman stories ever, and it's ruined by the very last page. For me, at least. So...
Why?
Because, Joker has, after all that the Joker's done to Batman and to Barbara Gordon and to James Gordon, and at the end the Joker tells a stupid joke and starts laughing at his own joke in kind of a pathetic way. Batman joins in to the point where he is almost unable to stand up. He's laughing so hard just as Gotham police pull up on the scene. Now, in later years, my opinion of it might be a little different because I believe it's the colorist, the original colorist, I want to say John Higgins, of the original story. If you remember, it kind of moves, it's raining, and the scene kind of shifts back to a water puddle, which is kind of how the story started, kind of bringing it full circle. And in it, when it starts to show that puddle, the color of the puddle changes and the Joker's laughter stops.
Yes.
What's not made clear is that in this, Batman has snapped the Joker's neck. And I think if they had been a little less subtle about it, I might have enjoyed it, especially since it was out of continuity. So you can cack the Joker there. Yeah. But the thing is, my understanding is from reading interviews with Moore that DC told him this is a more or less an Elseworlds book, and it will not count as continuity. Then once it was done, DC said, yes, this is continuity, and that's when John Ostrander and all came up with Oracle. Because if you ever went to the old Chicago cons, Ostrander hated that story for the very same reason I did. And he created Oracle as kind of a protest against DC. So anyway, Joe, what number will you give Artemis?
Outside of that one thing, this would have been a 9 out of 10 book. But because of that one thing, it goes down to a 5 out of 10. That's how.
I get it.
Why go through the whole thing in Trials of the Amazon if she was duty bound to keep that a secret? That doesn't make any sense. It's like they could have kept the story, that part of the story, as far as I'm concerned.
So, kids, when you purchase this issue, take those pages, grip the base of the book firmly, and tear those pages out of the comic book. It will do nothing for the resale value, but it will improve that comic, apparently.
Or do what I would tend to do now.
Yeah.
That's not Hippolyta. That's Hera. Hera told her to be duty bound. Hera told her to be duty bound to not say anything about murdering Hippolyta.
There you go.
Everything works well. Hippolyta's still dead. We got continuity and we're good.
There we go.
Easy fix. That's why I am a small press publisher. I know how to fix these things.
There we go. And you should get a job at DC. No, I was going to say you should get a job at DC, but I couldn't do that to you. I like you. So anyway, thank you, Joe. And Cindy Kemp is not giving up without a fight. She's voting for number 2.5. And Eek, Creepy, and Necromancers are really just late healers. That's true. And yes, it is strange, Cindy. CKOEPP.com, and also check out Cindy Kemp on Patreon too. And Brian Robin, yes, he snuck in here, being the ninja he is. And Bazaars are bizarre.
I blocked him. He won't be making more comments.
Okay, good. I knew I gave you a wrench for a reason here, Eric. And Cindy Kemp said, do you pay the harvestman before you reach the other side? I love that song. Anyway, and Tempest Law, good evening to you. Glad to see you here from YouTube. Hope you're having a good night, too. And everyone's saying hello. And yeah, Carl, you missed the Wonder Girl meeting. And Artemis is a redhead. Just saying. So anyway, thank you, Joe. Thank you so much. And Eric, are you prepared?
I'm always prepared.
Okay, here we go. Eric S. Hawkins has a review for us. What is it, Eric?
Well, I picked up a few books this week. This one because, I told Clyde the show makes me fall asleep. He says, well, try reading the book, and then maybe the show won't make you fall asleep. So we'll find out if The Sandman makes me fall asleep reading it as it does watching it. I don't know. Then, I haven't read this one yet, but I'm still loving it. It's already on issue 3, Seven Sons, which I gotta show the preview for the next
The
cover.
D-sides are back.
I don't know what this is supposed to be.
What in the hell?
I can't wait to read it and get to that one. Now, the other book I saw that I didn't pick up, I promised I would not pick up. I would let Clyde pick it up because I ain't going to pick up that piece of trash again. And that was The Closet. And it was the final issue. And I thumbed through it. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. Because it looked just as boring and off the rails as the second issue. It made no sense. What I did pick up, though, was The Last Shadowhawk by Image.
That looks familiar.
Well, yes, this is the Youngblood cover.
Yes.
There was 13 variant covers to this book.
Oh, so they went Gen 13 on a Shadowhawk book.
Yeah, they sure did. And they described this book as, let's see, will the heroes who once defended the downtrodden fail them now? Will a new generation rise, inspired by the last of the old? Who will be the last Shadowhawk? Well, none of that shit's in this book. This book, okay, it was written, and the artist is Philip Tan. It's co-written by Brian Haberlin and inked by Daniel Henriquez. And they don't say who the colorist are on this page, or the letterer. But the art's good. I didn't mind the art, except for a couple things. I mean, but look, double page spread. Double page spread. Double page spread. Nope, double page. Double page. Wait, they're all double pages, every single one of them.
And I'm not seeing a whole lot of writing there.
There ain't shit in this book.
Clear the runway.
It's now okay. So my shop. This is one of the variants. They didn't even have the regular one still in stock. They had a couple. One of the other regular variants. I didn't want that one. And the last pages of it are a gallery of the variants.
Dear Lord.
It was one of those books for the month. Like, who have we highlighted to see if there are people that's still interested in this character? Hey, let's pick Shadowhawk. Cool. Let's just give him an art book and call it a comic, and we'll split the difference.
Which was in my opinion, one of the worst books of the original Image releases.
Well, I think I picked it up. I didn't read much about it. I don't remember much about it. I don't remember when I quit getting it. I don't know how long I got it for. I know there hasn't been a new issue since 2010. Like it says here, first issue in a while. And, I thought there would be more of a story here. But, I'm going to spoil this whole thing. So it's Shadowhawk. There he is. He's all beaten up. Mm-hmm. And he's apparently gotten a fight with one of his foe's sons. Who is, I won't pronounce it because I'm sure they have a way of pronouncing it. I know it's wrong because it's supposed to be a German name. But here's where the art isn't good. So you got this scene on this double page spread with the baby-headed guy grabbing Shadowhawk's armor like it's a t-shirt, and you can see the wrinkles and stuff the way he's grabbing it. That is stupid. I mean, he looks so cool on the previous page. Then you get over here, he's got this little baby head on this giant body.
No, I'm just trying to figure out, how do you grab armor as if it was a cotton t-shirt?
I don't know.
And does it go back into shape? Is it flat against his chest, or does it have like that big big
I
handprint
don't
in
know
it.
how much. That's like, did he just collapse his pec or something when he grabbed him? It's like, did he squeeze that hard?
Joe, throttle back. We're trying to make a sense of an Image comic, okay? Just don't waste the energy.
He even says here, I'm just a man in a suit of armor. Well, maybe it wasn't armor. I always thought it was. Oh, nope, it's armor. But that's all. And he's getting the crap beat out of him. You see that, but he talks about how he wasn't a bad guy. He dealt out justice. He didn't kill anyone. He just made sure they would never fight, hurt anyone again.
By snapping their spines.
And you hurt my dad. He can't walk, so I'm going to kill you. Then you got the gods of Egypt, another double-page spread, because everything's just double-page spread, tell him to wake up. Flesh death. And this is what gets me. So, you guys probably won't be able to read these, because they're hard to read.
What's to read?
But they're all...
The golden bubbles that look like hieroglyphics. Yeah, that look like hieroglyphics.
They'll say the same thing twice in a row. Flesh death, imminent, is imminent. The vessel dies. Do you understand? Like, what, is it supposed to be an echo? I don't know what's going on here.
This is what happens when you let artists write. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm sorry, guys.
So nothing happens in this book. He's kind of telling about things he did, but nothing in particular. I mean, it's nothing happens, and then it ends. I think they must have threw some money at him. Hey, it's been 30 years since we launched. You want to do a book? Well, I haven't done one in a while. Can you get someone else to draw it and write it? And Valentino said, "That's great. Give me the money then." So Shadowhawk just dies. That's it. And he goes, "You finally got what you deserved, you sick son of a bitch." And the final is another double-page spread.
Oh, dear Lord. How much are they charging for this POS?
I think it's $4.99.
Too much.
No, $3.99. Oh, that's a bargain nowadays.
Oh, wow. Well, sign my backside up.
Well, how many pages is it?
Oh.
Are you going by terms of art? Then it's about 12.
Well,
I'm thinking it's less than 12 because everything is a double-page spread. So
that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
So if it's like a 24-page book, it's really like, and then you have to take out the covers. You might have a 6-page comic, so for $3.99.
Jesse James wrote a horse.
23 pages.
Okay, 23 pages minus the art gallery of the covers. How many?
Oh no, I didn't count the covers.
Okay.
Yeah,
so 23.
I skipped the covers in the poem they put here for no reason.
So we barely got 12 pages.
Yeah.
Barely got 12 pages.
What a waste.
And this isn't the last cover to come out. There's another one coming out in September. The Shadowhawk, the last Shadowhawk 3D book.
Oh, great.
Which everybody's giving this horrible reviews. So they might cancel that before it comes out. It's not good. I mean, it wasn't anything I was expecting. I thought maybe, a new story, maybe they'll have a new character pick up the Shadowhawk mantle. I thought there would be something in it. I mean, it's fluff for crap. And I'm not gonna throw it, but it's bad. It's bad, really bad. What did I give Florida Man, a 0?
Yeah, I think so.
Was it a minus 53.57?
Yeah.
No, because most of the art I liked. So, except for the wrinkling of the metal, I'd have to give it a 2.
Wow.
A 2 for nostalgia is what it was.
Wow.
Do we have to buy your comics for you now? Because you're on a roll with these.
Hey, I am getting that Wildcats. You just wait.
No. I just have to say this. It's like Eric had fell for the Image okie doke. Ever since they pulled back, it's like, oh, we're not going to do reprints. What did you do? You started reprinting 8 Billion Genies. And you started reprinting other books. Now the company is a liar. And now because the company is a liar, guess what they're going to do? They're going to start undercutting all their other books like this one. And people are going to be like, ooh, Shadowhawk. I haven't seen that in years, and then they pick it up and be like,
Now I know why I haven't seen it in years.
and even worse, it might end up going to reprint.
Now, Joe. Now, here's the thing, though. This is they are just rejoining a grand tradition in comic books that started with Jerry, Joe, just take that $130 check and we'll take care of you. See? And the lies just multiplied from there.
Valentino still works there.
Yeah, he's part of. He's
He's
still
like
part of the crew.
The publisher, isn't he? Or
He's
was?
part editorial board.
Yeah.
I think formally the publisher is Todd McFarlane. I think, but Valentino's still on the board. I think he's more in charge of editorial these days.
Yeah, it was disappointing. I thought I wasn't expecting a lot out of it.
Yeah.
But I thought it'd be a fun little story. But no, it's really nothing. I mean, it leaves you disappointed, probably like your prom date felt. You open it up and I thought there would be a story. There is nothing in it.
Oh.
And there's so many bad reviews about it online.
I can understand that.
So.
Well,
But no, I am looking forward to Wildcats taking on the Court of Owls.
certainly more than this.
I'm not holding my breath for Gen 13 versus the Hive. I want that to happen.
I would love for a Gen 13 comic to come back.
Oh, if it were more like the original, like the first dozen issues. Although I did like it towards the end when what was his name? Adam Warren was writing it. Adam does one called Empowered. He has kind of a manga style, and he's done things like Dirty Pair. He does a lot, things like that. His writing was just so light, but it had like some action in it, and it was more like the Brandon Choi stuff of the original run. But if you love Gen 13, do not pick up the new 52 version of it. I think Gail Simone wrote it, and you can tell this was at a time when DC editorial was micromanaging all its writers. There is no life to it. There is no joy to it.
I don't think she was a fan of it. That's what I think. It was a paycheck for her.
It might have been, but she's a pro. And I think she could probably take almost anything and make a decent story out of it. I really love her work. I really do. I've seen some Red Sonja that I wouldn't think that she'd be up for, but she does. She does an incredible job. But she did
her homework for Red Sonja.
Well, that's true.
It's like most things that she does her homework with. Yeah. She knocks it out of the park.
She does.
Gen 13 has very unique characters and personalities that she has to manage. So it's like it has to be like something that you really follow, or if you just loosely follow it, you're not going to get what was Gen 13.
That's true. You're very right.
Because again, it's like you have to. It was just so much diversity within personalities within Gen 13. It's like you just couldn't, say like this, grunge was this way. It's like no, grunge was one way, Rainmaker was another way, Fairchild was another way, and it was just so on and so on and so on. It's like they were so diverse and so opposite to one another, but yet that team worked.
Yeah, it did. They managed to become friends, which was really cool. There were a few dud issues in there, but for the most part, it was a really
well. Their
good
parents
series.
all worked together, so they had to become friends.
Well, there you go. No, that review is worth it, though, just for my remark on that stink eye that Eric gave me. That was beautiful.
Well, here's the question of the night here.
None but love, Eric.
Here's the question of the night.
Yes.
Would you read that book over a Colin Bunn book?
No. I'd rather read a Colin Bunn book.
Well, I did notice that Eric was, when in reviewing Shadowhawk, that he did have to consult the website. So I was thinking for a moment that maybe Cullen Bunn had snuck in there.
I wanted to see what they said about it, and
okay.
Because I brought it right before I did the review. Like that's nothing related to what's in this book. That's it's like Colin Bunn, but at least Colin Bunn puts stuff in the book. I mean, there's stuff there. You might not like it, but it's there.
And you may have to get it pointed out to you when you go to his website. But
Yeah. So it was just, it's horrible. No, I would probably read a Colin Bunn book before I'd reread this.
that's pretty dire.
And what's even worse, the worst part about it is Jim Valentino couldn't take the time to write the last issue of his character.
Although I go back to the thing of all of the things that I've read of Valentino's, that was probably the least inspired. It was like a warmed over Wolverine to me. Now Kurt Busiek did a version later on that wasn't halfway bad, but when you compare Valentino's work on Shadowhawk to say Guardians of the Galaxy, those are great. And he also did one before that for Aardvark Vanaheim, I believe it was, called Normal Man. And it was about a child whose planet explodes, or is going to explode, so his parents put him in a spaceship, and it lands on a planet where everyone has superpowers but him.
Mm-hmm.
It was a fun concept. It was a really fun book, but not Shadowhawk. But anyway, we have more comments here. Hey, yo, Pops, how it is? Pops fans, check out Comics Talk and check out CromCon the last weekend of every month because he's awesome. And Lizzie asks, hey, Dad, do you have my old Sandman trade paperbacks?
No.
Lizzie, I was saying that, I had trouble during the original run doing the monthly thing because, my brain doesn't hold information.
I have most of your Fables, but I don't have any trade paperbacks.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe you might think about looking at the trade paperbacks. That might be a little more. That's where I got into Sandman. The monthlies.
Well, this one's going to keep me awake first. So.
Yeah, that's true. Well, you could read that on the air while I'm giving a review, and then we'll see if you pass out like I did a couple months ago.
Was that what you were reading?
Yeah, I was reading Sandman, and out I went. What can I say? Now, Cindy Cap has a comment here. Wait, the info on the cover is supposed to reflect the content? More often than not.
Well, that kind of ended in the 90s, didn't it?
Pretty much.
Well, maybe late 80s, but yeah, definitely, when variant covers became a big thing. And, especially like this. You need 13 variant covers for this. I have no idea.
Yeah, and there have been some really good covers, like during the war years.
There is one cover.
Yes?
There is one cover that does reflect what's in this book. It's the blank sketch cover. Because there's nothing on it. But they didn't have that one.
Oh, darn. Nothing's happening in there. And so
I've watched Sandman, Rodman. I fall asleep.
No, Sandman does what it's supposed to do. Supposed to put you to sleep.
There you go, see? And 13, wow, not for triskaidekaphobics, says Cindy Kemp. I hope I pronounced that halfway right. And everyone's saying hi to Pops, and that's some disastrous art, says Leslie. And Cindy says, I have trouble thinking of the concept for one cover. Fortunately, Roll Cruz is better at it, and we're talking about Animal Eye. Go to bearpublications.com and check out Cindy Kemp's great comic book. And new from the Army, Kevlar Knit Armor, says Lizzie. Get the armor look without the armor bulk. That must be it. And Carl Wisman says, we don't have a writer this week. Give the artist a lot of coffee. And Brian Rodman, hi Brian, just said, I just saw someone praising Shadowhawk. Well, it won't be.
Valentino?
Yeah, it won't be on here. I'm telling you that right now. And Brian says, the moral of the story, you can always trust corporate America. Sorry, I couldn't complete that sentence. There we go. And editorial board, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. And Brian Robinson says, don't worry, Joe, I'm not holding my breath either. You can't. But anyway, Ryan Purvis says, hello, everyone. How are you? Hope you're enjoying my reviews I've been posting. Yes, check out Goodreads for Brian's reviews. And I pointed him to a book I think I would like to hear his comment on something I just recently read. The trade paperback of The Other History of the DC Universe. That's fantastic. It was written by John Ridley.
Okay. I haven't read that one, but I did watch the short that he posted not too long ago, because now I think he partnered up with somebody, and it's called Comic Books The Next Class.
I've heard of that, yes.
And though I have a sneaky suspicion that show is that short show is like anywhere between 5 to 15 minutes. I think that's going to be a good thing for him. Talking books.
I'm gonna make a point of watching if I can. And watch Sandman, Eric, says Brian Robin in all caps. And watch it better, Eric. Okay, that's
Puts me to sleep, dude. I've tried. Even the frickin' Serial convention episode put me to sleep. I've watched every single episode. Now, have I finished them? No, because I fall asleep and wake up an episode later. So I try again, then I miss the next episode. I mean, it's been horrible.
Eric can sleep during Sandman, and I can't sleep at all. And Lissy says I need to get my fables back then. You better check your house and bring Dad some Sandman stat.
I don't know where they're at.
Okay.
They're somewhere.
Yeah. Well, they are available for reading on hoopla.com, on your tablet and your phone and wherever. So, I sat out last week. I think I'm going to do a review this week. So, y'all are warned. So, these two can kick back. And now, I'm not going to go over all the books that I bought during my COVID vacation or last week. Just know that some of them are great, and you know which ones they were, and some of them stunk out loud, and you know which ones they were. But anyway, I got a bunch of independent comics that I've got to catch up on. I have been going through Unstable Frequencies by Karen Nicole and Alfred Giurgillo and various other helpers. This is a really good horror comic. I've been digging it, and I'll give you a full review later on, plus all the swag I got from it. But anyway, I got 3 books this week, and I was really happy with it. Very happy. They were all excellent. And I'm going to go out and just give each and every one of them a 10 out of 10, just to give you an idea. The one I'm going to start out with is the 5th and looks like final issue of this series of We Ride Titans. This has been a really good emotion-driven book, and in this one, everything comes to a head. And if you want to read a book where, I've said for years that a comic book should be primarily the art telling the story with the writing giving nuance to it, and this is a beautiful example of it. As we find out who is behind the robot and kaiju attacks, and we get to see some stuff with her family and all. This is a really beautiful book. It all comes together. The art is gorgeous. I can't show you any of it, though, because there are so many surprises on the way to a very beautiful ending. But stories by Trey Dean, Sebastian Perez is the artist, Deb Cuniff is the colorist, and Jim Campbell is the letterer. And beautiful lettering in here. Really nice effect with kind of like, how Popeye used to talk. It's like, olive oil, I'm going over there. Well, blow me down. I ain't seen nothing like that before. Well, it's that kind of sotto voce thing. They do it with a dark gray tone to the lettering. It's beautiful. It gives the effect. Wonderful, wonderful series. I hope there is another one. It's We Ride Titans from Vault Comics with a nice cover by Joshua Hickson on here. So definitely check out that series when it comes out in trade paperback. And this is kind of like DC and Marvel were about 30 years ago. You finish the book, and on the back cover, inside back cover, there is an ad for We Ride Titans, the trade paperback. But definitely take a look for it. It is worth your money and your time. And something else that's been a very good read has been Batman Superman, the World's Finest. This one centers on Robin in a story by Mark Waid, and Jerome Moore did the artwork for it. This cover is by Dan Mora, who's drawn every issue so far. If you remember last issue, Superman and Supergirl and the Doom Patrol wrapped up the adventure with that big scary guy. But during the process of getting information, Supergirl traveled into the past, taking Dick Grayson with her, and kind of lost him. When you're going through the time stream, you kind of drop things, it happens, right? Am I right? But anyway, this shows Robin, who happens, after he does some stuff that pays off later in the story, and let's put Eric to sleep. Okay, anyway. Yeah, see, it's working. And this is, this credit thing is okay. I'm kind of getting tired of it though. But in this one, Robin goes back to a circus, which is where he was raised. It's not the one he was with as the Flying Graysons, of course. And once you get past the Batman ads, Robin revives his old high wire act, and he's joined by a friend. Anyway, there is an arson. There is a plot against the circus here. Dick Grayson is bound and determined to find it. This book reminds you that Dick Grayson is the second best detective in the DC universe. It is based on real detective work, and Superman plays a part. It's great. Lots of fascinating side characters in here too, and it's a done-in-one. This is a real fun read, and I definitely enjoyed it. Now, here's the one I'm liking. Now, okay, this is one of my manias. I love Ultraman. Okay, and thank you, Joe. Thank you. It was great. It was a show I watched when I lived out in the Washington, D.C. area about 1969 and 70. And it really meant a lot to me. And then a few years later, like about 3 or 4 years ago, I found out that we're on our 40th iteration of Ultraman right now. But the part I missed, of course, just seeing the original, was there was a prequel called Ultra Q, which was kind of like an X-Files kind of story, but except they investigated the giant monsters, then Ultraman, and then after that was one called Ultra 7, which was another member of the Ultraman family, who you meet in this one. Actually, you've been meeting Dan in the last series of Ultraman, the previous mini-series. Well, in the TV show, Ultra 7 is kind of unique because the formula on a lot of the Ultra shows is the Ultraman comes to Earth, accidentally kills a human, then bonds with them to preserve their lives.
Yeah, Hayata.
Like Shin Hayata, thank you. And currently they're on Ultraman Decker, by the way, on the official Ultraman channel on YouTube. But anyway, Ultra 7 is different in that he shows up, and it's not the human who's the real identity. It's Ultra 7, and it's never explained until possibly now. In this one, Shin Hayata cannot access the Ultra powers, but he goes into the special Ultra dimension that a lot of the characters can go into when they're powering up. And he finds there's a reason why he looks for his missing Ultra powers, and he's looking for Dan. He finds out why Dan, who kind of led him on, he can't find him. And there's also a little reference to Ultra Q in here, but you don't need to have seen the series to appreciate it. And you don't need to have really read the previous mini-series, there's 2 sets of them so far, to appreciate Ultra 7. And I hope they get through and do a lot of these old ones. Now, this does not follow the show exactly. It's like somebody said, okay, writers, here's what happened during the show, and you figure out what happened around it. So you don't have to have watched the show, you don't have to have read the previous editions, but this is just really fun, entertaining, great twist at the end, and it's definitely worth your time to read. And if nothing else, it's not a Superman book. So you can trust me, but it's filled with X-Men Exterminator ads, good long run of and of course the center spread with the other Marvel books that I don't want to read, and Kaiju Steps, which is kind of cute, and then comes the Ultra Q sequence, and you also get a free digital content version of this. And the mysteries keep piling up, and a rather handsome-looking Black Panther watch on the back cover. But anyway, these are all 10 out of 10s. All of them worth picking up at your local comic shop. And like I said, we're ending one series with We Ride Titans, and then we're starting a brand new set of Ultra 7. So definitely go down to your local comic dealer and check them out, or however you get your comics. Give them your money. All right. So, and there we go. And Carl Westman, free digital content. Exactly. And if you wait a few months, you can read it on hoopla.com. I think Comixology, I know Comixology has the 2 previous trade paperbacks, and those are kind of fun. So
I do have one question, since I think you're more knowledgeable about Ultraman than I am.
Okay.
How have they ever did a series that actually talks about the alien entity and the force that he represents? Because remember, he's supposed to be like this intergalactic patrolman.
Oh yeah.
That was following all of these other aliens to these planets.
Right. Yeah. In throwing myself down this rabbit hole that is Ultraman, that basically all of the they call them Ultraman, but there are some female versions. But all of them are kind of related. If they aren't directly related by blood, then they have been trained by an Ultraman before, or they are a different dimension version of Ultraman. Like Ultraman Z was like the grandson of one of the previous iterations of Ultraman, but the succeeding series. I actually have the page up here. Let's see. Let me get that. It's before the current one's Decker, and Ultraman. They've got so many damn Ultramen here. But that's
the thing. They always talk about Ultraman history from the human person that they bond with,
right?
Not from the actual alien entity side.
No, they don't. They frequently don't. I imagine that's just a storytelling thing, because we'll relate more to the human side of it. Although in Ultraman Z, you had a lot of talking going on with the Ultraman half of the equation. And actually, the Ultraman Z had quite a number of names, because of course, it starts the stock footage where the human grabs the device that's going to turn him into Ultraman, goes through the ritual, and then he is told by Ultraman, now I ask that you chant my name. And the first time out, the guy goes, Ultraman Z. And Ultraman Z is going, no, you've got to give it some power. You've got to give it like you're impressed or something. And that's the next time he does it, so he says, let's try it again. I ask that you chant my name. And he goes, Ultraman Unaturaman Zeta. So, because they don't come in English.
Right.
Dubbing yet, but I read the subtitles.
But have you seen the Netflix one as yet?
No, I want to see that one.
You need to watch that one, because I think at the end of either season 1 or the beginning of season 2, there was another Ultraman that showed up. And that Ultraman, I believe, is probably either 7 or the original entity from space. I can't really put my finger on it, but I have to go back and rewatch it, because it's been like a couple of months.
Yeah, well, here's 7. He and this is not maybe a great angle on him. Let me see if I can find a better illustration. When I first saw this Ultraman design, I thought, this is the ugliest damn thing. But I have found uglier. But you can see he does not quite look like.
No, he didn't look like that.
But his theme song is great.
He did not look like that in this series. In this series, it was like this Ultraman was almost like pure energy.
Okay.
He had most of the Ultraman suit, but he was like almost like pure energy. It was like you could hit him, but it hurts when you hit him.
I don't think I've seen an Ultraman in the TV series or the cartoons like that, but that sounds interesting. I like that. Now, they have done the thing where Ultraman absorbs energy from light and from, I guess you'd call it positive affirmation. Because I think it was Geisha was like dead and like at the bottom of the ocean or something, and had turned to stone, and everybody started chanting his name on Earth, and the energy went into him because they come from the nebula of light. So
Right, he had a Gamera moment.
right, there we go. That's right. Well, it's only fitting because those guys helped create him. So
Should we introduce people to Gamera?
oh, let's do. Yes,
Because
Gamera's
if you're
cool.
into kaiju, there's one kaiju by the name of Gamera.
Mhm.
And Gamera, I believe that was the giant turtle. He was a giant turtle.
Yep. And he
Now-
could like shoot fire out. He'd like pull himself in, and he could shoot fire from all the holes, which is how I am on a late Tuesday night.
Now, mind you, everybody used to
After
think
Taco Bell.
That's
Yeah.
right. My God.
now,
treat
now
for all
mind you,
senses.
everybody used to back in the day was like, who was the strongest? Is it Godzilla and Mothra and everything? And it always came back down to Godzilla and Gamera. And everybody was like, why the turtle? Why is Gamera so powerful? And
Because he
Gamera-
could fly once he pulled all of his legs and he'd fly around.
Yeah.
Too.
He spun.
No,
too,
that's not
which
the
is
source
cool.
of his power.
Yeah.
The source of his power is little kids. As long as there's a kid that believed in him, he would succeed. So one of the things that always happen if you ever watch a Gamera movie is like you have all these kids and they're like, go Gamera, go. He's like, even when he was getting beat up, it's like, Gamera, come on. And then all the kids would start chanting, it's like, come on, Gamera, come. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he shoots up, the big old fireball comes out, and it's just like, wait, how did that change the tide? I was like,
Yeah.
affirmation, children affirmation. And I'm up there, it's like, yeah, I can see him going against Godzilla and holding his own. As long as there's a kid thinking that he could beat Godzilla, it might happen.
That would be awesome. That would be fun. Well, in the end of Ultraman Z, the last episode just pushed all my geek buttons. It was so cheesy, it ought to come from Wisconsin. It was beautiful. Sacrifice of the heroes, saving the girlfriend, etc. But there's one scene where many of the later Ultramen, especially, have more than one form. One is mainly fast, one is mainly strong, one might have, in this case in Ultraman Z, they had a fast, a strong, and one with mystical power. Well, he turns into the mystical power one, and he goes up against this monster that's been the big bad through the whole season. And Ultraman basically gets his butt handed to him, and he crashes into a building. Collateral damage is massive in these shows, another reason to love these things. And he's like stuck in the building. The human half, they cut to him in the Ultra limbo, and he's got, the Jesus thing going where his arms around, he's got his head down, and he's dying. And everyone, all of his friends in the Science Patrol are yelling, get up, get up. And then all of a sudden, stop, and then they go all at once yell, Unatura Manzana! And then suddenly, the guy, this energy washes over the human half, and he's like, let's go get him, sort of thing, and beats the ass of the bad guy and makes him blow up at the end with, the usual
Ultraman Flash.
Yeah! So, I love that stuff.
How do you do it? Like,
Yes! And what's even more wonderful is kind of like a side view of the two. And there's, Ultraman's doing this thing, and the beam's coming out from the flat of his hand, people. And as you see the side thing, you see the beams like hitting each other like this, and then all of a sudden, Ultraman's curves, you think, oh crap, he's in trouble, and it forms a Z and meets the thing and pushes it back. Like I said, it was so cheesy. And I just absolutely love that last episode. And yes, phenomenal cosmic power!
see, that makes me wonder. It's like a lot of people know Ultraman, but not too many people know Spectrum Man.
Yes, that's true. That's true. That's one I need to bone up on.
Even though the end of Spectrum Man was kind of messed up, it was akin to how the original Ultraman series with Hayata ended up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Except instead of Hayata surviving,
Uh-huh.
and the end of Ultraman, and it's like it was the ultimate choice. It's like, do you fight this? Like, if you decide to fight this last monster, the human form that you borrowed
Mm-hmm.
is destroyed.
Right.
There's no more defending this planet because you're stuck in Spectrum Man form. Or you could release the human.
Mm-hmm.
He have no memory. He would have no memory, and he would pretty much, he would have his life, but he would be almost like paralyzed that he couldn't do anything else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, in their ultimate wisdom, he's like, we have to save the Earth.
Right. Right.
The ultimate sacrifice was paid, and as soon as he finished, Ultraman turned himself into like this one beam of light around this orb and just shot himself back out into space.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, that was interesting. It's not like a Hayata ending for Ultraman, but it was interesting that it went that way.
Right. Well, you talk about the ending of the original Ultraman. In the original Japanese, Hayata is left with no memory of ever being Ultraman. He's, he makes, if you read the subtitles, he says the last thing I remember is seeing that round ship, which again they use in here, that that sphere, and he doesn't remember. Although later they retconned it to where he does, and he becomes kind of like an elder statesman of the other human sides of Ultraman.
That's the reason why I want you to watch the Netflix one, because the way that they did it, the way that they did it is that Hayata remembers everything.
Yeah.
He even had a child while still having the power, and that power transferred over to his son.
Oh, very cool.
And
very cool.
Now this Netflix series is about his son.
Ah, okay. All right. Well,
however, it introduced all the other Ultramans. The only thing that they haven't done so far is like they haven't became like skyscraper like tall Ultraman. They're tall within themselves, but not like skyscraper big to fight all of these different entities and whatnot. But there is monsters that they fight, but it comes back down to that one Ultraman that I was telling you about. That reason why I'm still watching it, because there was another Ultraman that was watching everything, and he made himself known to them in this one fight, because again he was like, you're not ready. You're not ready for what's about to come and to come down here to hurt you guys.
Yeah.
And he was saying there's something where I need help, and I'm the most powerful Ultraman there is. So I'm thinking this is the very first Ultraman from space coming back.
Oh, cool.
So he's saying something else is coming towards them, and that's going to hunt all of them down. And he's saying y'all guys are not ready.
Yep. Yep. Now, I want to see that anyway. I may have to, once things slow down around here, I'm going to have to get on Amazon and see if I can catch that stuff. Cindy Kep comments, the Netflix one was interesting. I'll have to see if there's more of it this fall. I heard there is another series coming up. There's also a theatrical version in Japan right now. I think it just premiered. It hasn't made its way over here though. Called Shin Ultraman. But, and Carl Witzman, well, guys, I must go finish something before stupid o'clock. See you later, everyone. Have a good evening. Carl, thank you for being here, brother. Appreciate you as always. And send Joe our love. Send Joe Dog our love, please. All right. And glad to have you here, Carl. So anyway, did you guys have anything else to talk about?
Yeah, I think Rodman started watching Sandman again because he got awful quiet and fell asleep.
Yep. I was going to say one more thing about Ultraman. The only Ultraman that I don't recognize was the U.S. one that came in the 90s.
Oh, I have that. The animated one?
No, the live action one.
Oh, there was one. I think the one you may be referring to is actually Australian.
Okay, the one where he was on Mars. The Ultraman was on Mars.
Yes. I think that
one I don't recognize because they destroyed the lore. That was
not one of the best. I think the writing on that one's pretty weak.
And the 3-minute limitation was beyond ridiculous.
Well, that's been the thing all along.
No, not in the way that they did it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's true.
The way that they did it's like it was more along the lines. As soon as he transformed, there's 3 minutes.
Oh, that's right. That's true.
Because remember, Ultraman as long as he could transform, as long as he's not using his powers, he's fine. He
Right.
can only use his power for 3 minutes.
That's true.
In that Australian one, as soon as he changed, that 3-minute clock is running. I was like, it's like those fights didn't make any sense. It made no sense whatsoever, and he was always losing. That warning was always happening, and if he's trying to figure out a way to beat him in like the last 5 seconds of having power before he had to turn back.
Well, it's that same formula like you saw in like Shazam. Although, that you see the human side all the way through the show, virtually through the show. Rarely do you see the superhero come out early, and then in the last 5 minutes, then you see the superhero come out and do all the, the cool things. But, but yeah, I thought the scripts on the that version were very, very weak. But it's kind of cool. Is I mentioned the animated one. I think it's from the 80s. They have, of course, these giant team-ups of all the Ultramen. All they do is just beat the hell out of each other for about an hour and a half. And then they beat up the enemies. They're fun to watch. It's pure popcorn show. But they actually have a live-action actor playing the animated one.
Oh, cool.
And they translated it to a regular costume. It was very, very cool. Cindy Cap says, well, the usual fracases in real life are usually very short. That's the one thing where a lot of movies and TV get it wrong, in that a knockdown drag-out doesn't last that long. If they're bound and determined to hurt each other very badly, it usually wraps up pretty quickly and tragically. So,
well, whenever there's a weapon involved, it's short.
That's true. That's true.
Unless you got like a glass jaw or just don't have any endurance.
Yeah.
Most fights don't last no more than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And if you got a weapon, no more than 2 minutes. If you don't have any endurance, no more than 2 minutes. But again, you have to think about professional boxing.
Right.
That's 15 rounds of 3 minutes, so that's 45 minutes.
Yeah, and that's strategy, and a lot of that is moving around, just sizing up your opponent. And professional wrestling, a lot of that is rest moves. So yeah, that's a good point. So I did see some things in the news today. I actually thought I'd look and see if there was anything interesting. CrossGen is going to get 4 of its titles. The CrossGen comic company, 4 of their titles are going to get deluxe reprint treatment from Marvel soon. Seems that Marvel owns them. That they were, and this kind of flew under my radar, that Marvel bought the CrossGen IPs right after they bought Marvel, or after Lucasfilms bought Marvel. Excuse me. Sorry.
Marvel bought Marvel.
Yeah, Brian's confused, but no, they are going to be reprinting Mystic Sigil, Ruse, and Sojourn. And,
well, I heard about Sojourn being reprinted. I heard about that. That part I didn't know about.
That's kind of cool, because they did have some good titles. I like that El Caldazor or whatever. That kind of like a pirate title. That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that a lot. It only lasted like about 3 or 4 issues, unfortunately.
Now, I do agree with Cindy's comment there. Especially, like I said, getting back to weaponry. If you ever done fencing could be done like that.
Yeah,
that's
true.
how quick it is.
Yeah,
and I have never experienced actually getting struck that quickly.
Yeah,
until it's like I knew a guy who did fencing. It's like, okay, we got the gear. We it's like he was showing me the basics, and it's like, okay, let's go. Like,
yeah,
I didn't even have a chance to even move my wrist. It's like. You start up, unguard. It's like, whoa. It's like, just that fast? Like, yeah, it's that fast.
Well, and it's also a difference between some, and this is true in a real fight, that someone that knows what they're doing. Like, I watch a lot of police videos, and like, if somebody tries to run, those don't last very long. And I'm not talking about them getting tased or anything, but the policeman puts their hands on them, and they're trained in, a lot of them are trained in combat. And, next thing you know, the bad guy's on the ground. Excuse me, the alleged bad guy. I forgot my journalism training for a moment. But no, I going back to the comics, I picked up that thing about CrossGen, And also, Diamond is suing GameStop right now for almost $3 million because GameStop allegedly ordered some special items from Diamond, and then they canceled their orders. Now, Diamond says, now we have already gotten the confirmation from the manufacturers that your product is in production. And once that happens, you don't get your money back. And then GameStop says, well, I'll tell you what, we just won't pay you for it. You figure it out. And so they said, okay, we'll figure it out with the help of our lawyers. So there's one more thing to be looking out for.
Well, that's a whole nother can of worms because I just feel a certain way about Diamond.
I do too. Having dealt directly with them as a retailer, I think that, and talking to my many friends of mine in publishing, I think they have done fewer favors to this industry than people realize. Talk to Randy Zimmerman sometime about it. Oh, he's got a mad on for those guys.
That's one of the people that I talk to a lot about it.
Yeah.
But the more I delve into the history and everything, it's like people forget they were created to end direct sales at the two biggest companies.
Mm-hmm.
They became a monopoly because of one of those big two. When the big two left them, it's pretty much all zero. This was just bound to happen. That's just how corporate life works here.
Oh yeah.
However, how they treated everybody else was so wrong. It was so wrong because of that. Because again, they relied so much on that bread and butter, the people who made them who they were. And when they didn't realize that they were expendable pawns, it was a little bit too late. Because you already made the smaller guys seem insignificant.
Oh yeah. Well, I can tell you from my experience, I used to do small press stuff back in the early '90s, and I submitted some stuff to Diamond, and they wrote me a nice letter saying, "Well, we don't think this matches our standards." You know, and the very week I got that, I picked up a comic called something like Mind Warping Funnies, and it showed a guy with a Nazi symbol burned into his forehead, knifing a baby on the cover. And it was just an assemblage of their mini comics, basically, and it was racist, misogynist, sexist. So it's like anything that you can think of that makes you despair for humanity, it was in this book. I'm shredding the book. I finally found it. I didn't realize I still had it. I'm going to shred that book. It does not need to be falling into somebody else's hands. But Diamond distributed this book. And my stuff was pretty mainstream. And it's not just the fact that it was mine, but just the fact that well, Eric, you've seen it. You've seen those digest comics I gave you.
Okay.
Fundraiser, Razor, and the Miraculous Mouse. That was what I sent to Diamond, and they said that it doesn't meet our standards.
Well, that's the thing that I don't like about it.
Yeah.
You're not a publisher. You're a distributor.
Right.
You don't have a say of what gets made and what doesn't get made.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, your job is to make certain that it gets to stores. You don't know what's going to be a good seller. You just have an idea.
Right.
And again, because you're being led and spoon-fed by the big two, to say, our books come first. You're not going to really, put too much effort into the smaller books. So when you get into that smaller book aspect, it's like 9 times out of 10, they're going to pick and choose what they like, and you don't have the pulse of the people at that point. You don't have the pulse of comic book buyers.
Yeah, or
that's why I feel sad for the retailers right now, because a lot of these retailers are up here. It's like we're hurting. Marvel and DC, Image, all these bigger names. What are you doing to help us out? It's like, nope, stop doing that.
Right.
You got us smaller guys out here who are pulling, I won't say quality, but we're putting out books
There's some good
that
stuff out
your
there.
patrons would like. Like your patrons would like, but we don't have the volume. We can't generate that volume right away, and then we're not going to generate that volume if the sales are not there, because we can't afford to sit on these books.
No, I agree with you. And Diamond, what some people don't realize, and I learned this from Randy Zimmerman too, is that Diamond dictates terms. Like, he wanted to do stuff with different sizes, different formats, and they said no. And there's a history of them doing that with other books, including like DC. I think when they had that Wednesday Comics, the faux newspaper, Sunday strip newspaper thing, that Diamond had their thumbs in that too. Dictating to DC how they're going to do this thing. And we talk about quality. A lot of things in the green section, the independent section, gets in there because the publishers of those books buy advertising, and that's how you can become like the star comic of the month. I had a guy that used to come into my comic shop back in the 90s. He got a job as a Diamond rep, and he said Diamond would just as soon all of you independent people just went away and didn't even try to get in that book. Said, Diamond considers you guys a distraction from distributing DC, Marvel, Dark Horse, Avatar, the top 10, let's say. The ones that, rate their own sections. And they said Diamond does not care for you. And all you do is just add work to what they already do. They would rather lavish the attention on the big names rather than the independent ones, which is why this is why we say it's very important to check Kickstarter and Indiegogo, because that's where you're going to see really great talents like Eric Hawkins in the Zombie World of Oz, or Amazonia by Joe D. McFee, or Hybrids by Luke Stone, Daphne Lage. We can go up and down, Arrow 4.0, all the great books that are being produced right now. So, end of editorial. So,
no, it's decent editorial. I can't complain.
Yeah. Well, this is not exactly a new view on my part. I have felt that way over 40 years or so. And I feel that the direct sales market has limited comics too. But that could be a future episode of a clever title pending when we bring that back. So
I still feel that a lot of it is still a money pit. For the smaller people, it's still a money pit. Even for me, it's a money pit to go through Diamond, because they don't promote, they don't do anything. You just have a listing in a catalog. I learned a lot from going to actual comic book stores. So it's like I actually have a pitch to give to comic book stores to skirt Diamond now.
Right.
Pitched it to one store, and she helped me out a lot. It's like everything that I put up in there, she's like, this makes feasible sense. You're on the right track, this, that, and the other. But the key thing here is they always come back down to their clientele. So if they don't have a clientele that would like that book, or they feel that, hey, the artwork may not grab their people's attention, or little bitty things like that, you still have to worry about that as a whole. But that's a part of distribution that you have to worry about. You have to build that audience and have that audience go to these stores,
right,
and be like, I demand you to get this. I want this on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
That forces them to come to us.
That's true.
Because again, what if Kickstarter folds, or Indiegogo folds, or crowdfunding just folds all as a whole here? What other avenues there are there? You have to have some type of avenue for yourself.
Then you need to create it, because there was Indiegogo and Kickstarter are fairly recent additions to the distribution firmament. before then, people would get, they would do mail order. Of course, back then we had like the Comics Buyer's Guide, where you could take out an ad in there, and people sent you money, and you dropped it in the mail. But you had to front all the money yourself. So that's how that has changed. But yeah, you're right. We need, as independent creators, I want to get back. That reminds me, though. I want to get back to something. You mentioned that Diamond doesn't advertise; just put your, your listing in a catalog. That's the same way as book publishing. Everybody wants to get in with the big five. And by the way, it could become the big four any day now. There is supposedly a merger coming up between two of the big publishing houses, which Stephen King testified before the Federal Trade Commission, saying don't do it because it'll hurt the independents, like me. But and it's the same with with Diamond. You just get that listing in there, and for some reason, too many people that I talk to in independent comics seem to think that Diamond is the end-all be-all of distribution.
Until they get that cancellation talking about, hey, you did not reach that order number that we want. It's like, if you're not selling at least 2,500,
yeah,
you're wasting our time.
Well, and even then, I had a friend that was selling a magazine called the Charlton Spotlight, about Charlton Comics, and he was selling like 7,500 units every time. And I think the magazine was like somewhere between $7.95 and $9.95. So so goodly amount of money coming in for it. Diamond told the publisher, "We're not carrying it anymore. It's too much of a hassle." Go figure. It reminds me of a story. The guy I used to work with at my first comic shop. This is back when Sears Roebuck and Company was, or not Sears, but Montgomery Ward's was around. That's how old it is. And the guy would go out fishing, and he had a little trolling motor, and for shallow water fishing. And every time he went out, he would go into the rocks. The propeller would hit a rock, and there was a little pin in there that, rather than mess up the drive or the engine or the blades, this little pin would snap and disengage the drive. And so every time he went out, he'd break this little thing, because he just wanted to get in the shallow water, and he reinstalled this little 50-cent piece. Well, one day he went into Montgomery Ward's, and of course he's looking for this little thing, and said, "Well, I can't find them." And they told him, "We're selling too many of them, so we're not going to carry it anymore." And that's probably why there's no Montgomery Wards anymore. So, the same thing could be, going on with Diamond. I mean, they could become even more, more foolish than they have been, and just, decide, well, we're just going to do the top 10, which was fine for them, but it doesn't help anyone in the lower echelons, unfortunately.
But when your biggest ones in the top 10 going to other distributors,
yeah, that's true.
What does that leave you? You gotta replace them with something.
Yeah, table scraps basically, or you move a couple other companies into their own sections, like say, Vault or one of those. I haven't read a previews in years, but make a big deal out of, get some sort of exclusive deal with Vault or.
But that means that work. They have to do some work. They have to do some promoting.
Oh well, let's scratch that then. Forget I said anything. That ain't happening. Donna Carlene says, "Cat finally wakes up and leaves arm. Free at last! Free at last!" And Cindy Cap says there are some new crowdfunding platforms developing. Backer Kit, for example, is starting into the game. Yeah, that's one. Kara Nicole uses Backer Kit. And
it's Kickstarter, though, isn't it?
No, Backer Kit has been around for a bit, but they started out with just only fulfillment. They only did fulfillment. They made their money off of people who needed their stuff sent off from either Kickstarter or Indiegogo. They had the means to track your campaigns and everything to that magnitude.
And to manage it.
To manage it. They saw the amount of money that was coming through Indiegogo and Kickstarter, and then said, "You know what? Why don't we create our own platform and become a one-stop shop?" And now you have Indiegogo, not Indiegogo, Kickstarter thinking about the exact same thing. It's like, oh, if Backer Kid's going to do this to us, let's start building our own fulfillment within Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and it's mostly for people like Karen Nicole that do, mid 5 figures. It's if you go in and you're asking for $150 for your Kickstarter, Backer Kit may not be for you, but this is for high end publications and ones that have like a number of like a lot of different levels, pledge levels.
Well, I wouldn't say that. Backer Kit is really for those who would have, if I would say, 4 figures or more in actual people who back in your campaign.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Meaning that it's like, for those like myself and I can't attest to Eric, is like sometimes we're somewhere between 30 to like 100 on average. Backer Kit can help, but it really is not for us because it's technically is feasible for you to actually fulfill 100 different orders by yourself. But when you get into like that 500, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, and it's only you.
200 is breaking my limit right there. I mean, it's rough.
Yeah. Well, in this case, you might go to someplace like Backer Kit, get them involved. They manage the campaign, and
then hand over what little profits you make anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the way it works. But then again, it's you're paying for the convenience. It's kind of like when I pay somebody to do something in publishing a book that I could do myself, but it frees me up to do more marketing, be more creative or whatever. But they also do a good job of Backer Kit does a good job of marketing too, and they are also very sympathetic to minorities too. I get a lot of ones that are targeting, say, African American creators or LGBTQ creators, which hooray! I'm for it.
I have to say it this way: they're looking at diversifying their profits because of that.
Yeah, exactly.
And when they do get their crowdfunding platform, that's the audience that they're going to try to get, because when you look at statistical numbers, it's a widening gap that happens. I'm not saying that there's not enough of them out there. There's plenty of them out there. It's just that gap is just widening and widening and widening and widening a lot.
Yeah.
So it is what it is statistically. It's not something to be like, oh, you gotta do something right now, but there's a lot of us out there. There's a lot of projects being funded. It's just that when you look at the numbers, that gap just every so often just widens and widens and widens.
Exactly. And Monkey Wards, I remember them. Oh yeah, yeah.
Monkey Wards,
yeah. That's where I bought my first VCR.
Why do I remember all the different going out of business sales that they had?
Yes.
And they're still around in catalog form.
That's true. And it's surprising. I've looked online, did a little aside here, but there's a lot of businesses that exist, like Montgomery Wards, like Sears, that are mostly online. Radio Shack is another, but a lot of restaurants that we are familiar with, like Ryan's and Old Country Buffet, a lot of those, Ponderosa, Banza, a lot of them only have, like say 30 years ago, they were everywhere. They're on every corner. But now they may only have like 1 or 2 restaurants. I think Ryan's has one place. I know that at one point Blockbuster may have 1 store left.
No, I think they're closing. Yeah. That last one is closing, I believe.
Oh, did it? Because I know that John Oliver on Last Week Tonight had a big thing about there were 4 of them in Alaska because at the time at least, and I doubt it's changed, Wi-Fi was very hard to get up there, and people couldn't do streaming, as easily. So they had to have this. And Oliver even went so far as to purchase props from one of the Russell Crowe Gladiator movies. Even down to Russell Crowe's loincloth. And was going to auction them off on eBay. And then a few weeks later, he announced that somebody had picked up the loincloth. And, of course, the show spent a lot of it. And they gave all this money to those Blockbusters to stay open. And the thing is, it showed the person who bought the loincloth, and it was Russell Crowe.
Mm-hmm.
So...
But that's the thing. That's the
didn't show him in it, did it?
No.
Thank God, no.
No, but
This
that's the thing
poor heart can
about
only
business
take so
and
much.
industry. It's just weird that when you think something has really gone away, it really hasn't gone away.
Yeah.
I think our last Ponderosa closed. There was one in South County, just south of St. Louis, about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Circuit City, when they went out of business,
Mhm.
a lot of people thought their website stayed up, but a Chinese company bought the rights to the name and opened up a website just to scam people.
No, the franchise I think about the most when you think that they're closed up but they're still around is Jack in the Box.
Yeah, I run into one of those every now and then, yeah.
On the West
I got one down the road.
Yeah, but they're down to this, bare minimum.
Mm-hmm. But
Yeah.
on the West Coast, there's a lot of them, but in the Midwest, there's like a handful.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I think they're down, Old Country Buffet is, 1 or 2 near their home base or something, so...
Well, that's like a Steak and Shake. Almost all of them here. I knew at one time there was 48 locations just in St. Louis. They nearly all closed up overnight because of how bad service got and everything. And they were putting up signs everywhere for $30,000. You could buy this franchise and you get 50% of profits.
Mm-hmm.
They've slowly started opening back up, but the service had gotten horrible in all of them ever since they got bought out by I can't remember the name of the company. But,
Yeah.
Another thing with Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut are disappearing.
Yeah, all the ones except one in our area closed down. But I think the 3 that closed down were from same guy owned that franchise. The other one, someone didn't. But yeah, they're all gone pretty much.
Yep.
Now the only riots that I knew about was in Springfield, so that wasn't new. But that's like Sizzler was another one that was very big up here. They're pretty much all gone. Bonanza is all gone. Ponderosa is gone. What was the other one? There's still a few Old Country buffets still around, at least in my neck of the woods. There's 1 or 2.
Yeah.
I have not seen a Golden Corral this way, nor a Cracker Barrel. I have to travel south to get to a Cracker Barrel or a Golden Corral.
Yeah, there's lots of there. You can't spit without hitting a Cracker Barrel in this part of the country where I'm at.
Which you didn't used to be able to. I mean, they weren't north of Clarksville. They weren't north of Clarksville for decades until I think it was the 90s they started expanding.
Yeah, and I'm also thinking, what was that? Oh God, I can't think of.
Of course, their quality started to go downhill after that too.
Yeah.
When they were just in the South, I mean, big portions. As soon as they spread out, everything started getting thinner. Prices started going up. Wasn't as good.
Yeah. And
Everything became about the gift shop and not the food.
Pretty much. That's where a lot of the money comes. I have a former spy in their organization, so I heard all kinds of things. But I'm trying to think of another one. Shoney's was another one. There used to be a bunch of them up in the northern part of Illinois and Indiana. And
they're mostly gone.
Yeah, they're mostly gone. There was one just south of Evansville, Indiana, which is about 4 hours south of me, and I found out it recently closed. We were in Nashville, about 2 years ago, and we saw some Shoney's down there, but the quality of the food had really dropped.
I think there's still one in Coloma, Michigan.
Okay.
Because it was the last time we were up there, just a couple of years ago. And there's the only other one I know might have been in Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's another name that should be a blast from the past.
Yeah.
Shakey's Pizza.
Oh my God, we used to have one in Danville until a local newspaper found out that what we thought was sausage was actually dog food. And Cindy Kemp says there's a Cracker Barrel here. Yeah, there's a lot of them in Illinois and Ohio. We see a lot of them.
I would just say I have to travel south. There's not any in like the immediate Chicagoland area as far as suburbs.
Joe, they're about as plentiful as Ollie's down here. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, Lissy says don't get Dad going on how he had to get his own silverware. And Big Boy A&W standalone
A&W used to be big here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, same here. Yeah, a lot of the only ones we see now are usually combined with like a
Long John
Silver's. Yeah,
yeah, we got one here in the area. That's about it.
Yeah.
Now, Big Boy,
Whataburger, yeah.
We never had a Whataburger. Godfather's, we had one or two. We had one or two.
We still have a Pantera's pizza.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Huh. That's interesting.
I think one of the last two in the country.
Wow.
And here's another blast from the past: Archer Treacher's Fish and Chips.
Oh God, I love their stuff. That's where I learned to love malt vinegar on fish and on fries. They had one in Danville, Illinois, on North Gilbert Street. My mother and I ate there constantly. I think I don't remember where I was traveling, but I saw one about 5 years ago in some city I was driving through. I can't remember which one, but that's okay. I kind of get away, unless it's one of those ones I haven't been to in a while. When I'm out traveling, I don't go to chain restaurants because I can usually get it here or somewhere within an hour of me, like if I go to Indy or something. But otherwise, I go to like the mom and pop type places. I love those.
I like those, but I also like to hit the fast food places I don't have here.
Yes.
If I go south, I want to hit Zaxby's.
Oh, Zaxby's.
Because we just don't have them here. But we got Cane's here. Raising Cane's was basically the exact same thing.
Yeah, we got Cane's here too, but it's in Campus Town, and we've become townies. So, we have to wait till everybody leaves Purdue. Then we'll go in there. The minute they come back, we flee. Like somebody turned on a light. Okay. So, yeah. So.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm trying to figure out, what are these places? It's like, what are the ones they're known for? And then I'm like thinking, it's like, oh, that must be the general menu, a little bit of everything.
Zaxby's is, yeah.
Zaxby's is just chicken.
That's right, yeah.
Chicken strips, chicken strip sandwich, chicken strip salad.
That's really good, though. It's really
and
good.
Raising Cane's is the exact same thing.
Okay.
And they come with their own special sauce. They almost taste the same. They opened up, I think it's only within like 2 years of each other, so I'm not even sure which. And they almost look identical too.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Here's another one that I want to go to ever since they changed the name of it. I want to go to another Rowley's.
Oh yes, we have a Rowley's about an hour south of us in Indianapolis. There's also like one that's virtually identical to it. I'm blanking out. Checkers.
Right, that's what they changed their name to. They're both the same company, but they changed the name to because Checkers had what was called the Big Buford.
Yeah, that's right. Got the Big Buford.
Yeah,
and I forgot what Rowley's had, but their burger was.
There's this Big Buford too now.
Oh no, I thought about back then.
Back then, yeah,
they had like a double cheeseburger that was to die for.
Oh yeah,
that made the Big Buford look like nothing, and it's like they were treated as two separate entities by the same company.
Yeah,
and then out of nowhere, it's just like, nope, we're pulling the name of Rowley's. That's now a Checkers. That's now a Checkers. That's now a Checkers. Then all of a sudden, Checkers, went away, and then we got one that just came back, which is down the street from it. And the quality is not the same.
Yeah, it's a territory thing. Somebody on YouTube had a.
It's like Carl's Jr.'s and the Hardee's.
Right. Yeah.
Depends where you're at. What's going to be. Now I'll tell you, the fries were better when it was Zips. Yeah. When it was just Zips before they took over. Rowley's took them over. I thought the fries. I mean, they're still great. I love the fries, but I thought they were better when it was Zips.
Oh yeah. Well, the fries are really good because they're the coated ones, and you can get like this size that's like this.
The large that you get in a soda cup.
Right.
Yeah, it's a
I want
meal
to
unto
fill a large soda
itself.
cup of flock fries.
Yeah,
I want a Big Buford. Dang it.
I do too. It's only an hour away. Let's go.
Oh, mine's 10 minutes away.
Okay, well, that's because you live in a major metropolitan area.
I live in Wood River, Illinois.
Well, okay.
He's a border. He's a border towner.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Well, although I can go across the Wabash and I can get Canes. So,
Well,
I
I don't have a Cane's close to me. I gotta wait till I get over to work for that.
yeah.
But yeah, right here in the area. So
I still need to get one of
Little
those
towns.
fish sandwiches that you talked about, Eric. I still need to get one of those.
which one?
The fish sandwich that you talked about.
That's only around during Lent.
It's like that's just a thing of beauty. What was it? A cod sandwich with macaroni and cheese
And red hot riplets on garlic bread. It's so good. It's it's a $15 sandwich, but it's worth it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, shut up and take my money.
They'll make you sick eating the whole thing, but that's worth it.
Yeah. That's like a place I used to go to when I lived in Newport, Rhode Island one summer. It was right on the Atlantic, and every Friday night they had a fish fry, and they just brought fish in, cleaned it, threw it in batter, and deep fried it, and you could get like a shopping bag for like $5, and it'd be like full of fresh hot fish. And the minute they drop it in there, the grease is leaking out through the bag and everything. And my uncle and I would take it home. We'd eat the whole bag, have a 6-pack of beer with it. Next morning, have the worst diarrhea we'd ever had.
Wow.
And then go back the next Friday and do it all over again because the fish was that good. It wasn't going to get fresher than straight out of the ocean that day. So
Doesn't sound like it was too fresh. It was giving you diarrhea every time you ate it.
it was all that oil.
No, that's the real thing. It was just that they don't drain the oil and you got
Or
oil on
filter
top.
it, yeah.
That plus you probably didn't have anything like hush puppies or anything to go along with it that will soak up that.
No, we didn't. I never had hush puppies till I was probably in my late 20s. We just didn't have them around here. No, we just didn't have anything around here that served hush puppies. I know. Culturally disadvantaged.
I had hush puppies over the weekend.
Well, now I can get them. Yes. They're everywhere. But
we went to there's a tavern. It's called Ott's Tavern. It's in Millstadt, Illinois. It's been a fish stand for as long as I know, since I was a kid. And you go there and you get your fish, which you could buy by the pound or a plate, sandwich, whatever. Then if you wanted to stay there and eat out the picnic tables, you went to and get a drink. You had to go to the tavern next door. But someone bought it a few years ago. It doesn't taste quite the same. The special sauce isn't quite the same, but it was still pretty good. And they had some hush puppies. And all they had was shrimp and fish. That's all they ever had. Now they got burgers on the menu. They got all kinds of stuff on the menu. But it was really good. But the dip, the batter they used for the fish was called Golden Dip. And the plant was right next door to the...
I know that stuff.
Okay.
And it closed. A few years ago. Now that's a car dealership there, but the little fish stand's still there. They still have the picnic tables, and they have a waitress now that comes out. It was nice. It was a beautiful day Sunday here. But they had some jalapeno hush puppies. I said, I want those too.
Ooh, those sound good.
He's like, I have to have some spice.
Yeah. Oh my God, that sounds good. Well, I think we all now need to go to eat.
Yeah. It's dinner time.
It's dinner time right here at the Comic Book Spectrum Corral. Thanks to these guys, thanks to these two gourmet chefs here. So tell you what, why don't we go around the room and tell everybody how to keep track of us, and we'll first of all we'll thank our audience. Thank you for watching. Thank you everyone that's made comments so far. If you're watching us on the reruns, please leave us a comment down below. We'll try to get back to you on it. And so Joe, then Eric. Joe, how can people keep up on your exploits?
Right there on the screen. That link tree has everything minus the gaming channel that I also run. So pretty much if you want to know anything about me, just go to that link tree. It'll get you to the website, DeviantArt account, Facebook, YouTube, whatever is out there, it's out there, except for that one gaming channel that's out there on YouTube. So And I think this week for from a Destin Small Press Publisher is still up in the air as far as what I'm going to do. It's like I had one person says like, "Hey, I would like to see you draw or do something 3D," but I also got books that I could review too. So it's pretty much still up in the air.
So just tune in Saturday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, and find out.
You never know. I might have something to rant about between now and then, depending on how things are going nowadays in this industry, because I would have never known that about what had happened at C2E2 if other people didn't have kept constantly bothering me, asking me. It was like, "What do you think about this? What do you think about this? What do you think about this?" It's like, the more I thought about it, it's like, the more I saw problems.
So check out last Saturday's episode. That was
No,
a good
that
one,
was
Joe.
last Thursdays.
Was it Thursdays?
It was
That's right.
Thursday.
You had a
It was-
special edition. That's
It was
right.
a special after-school edition.
That's
But
right.
After Comic Book Spectrum edition.
That's right. There we go. So, thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
All right, Eric.
Hey, you can find me on any social media site. You can find me here on Thursday nights. And after this, I'm on a drawing show for another 2 or 3 hours. October is going to be a busy month for me. I believe I'm going to launch Simon Adventures in October.
Nice.
I haven't decided if it's going to be the beginning of the month or the end of the month. But Rodman is launching memoirs in the middle of the month. So keep an eye out for that too.
Yeah.
October is the last month I will crowdfund for the year, and that's really pushing it because I don't want to be around the holiday season. In fact, I won't. Whether I launch beginning of October, end of October, I'm not going to ship it until January because of the holidays. But that's it. Hey, you can find me here every Thursday night. Come and watch us talk about comics and food.
Thank you, Eric.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And I'm Brian K. Morris. If you want to track me and all of my exploits, you can do so at www.risingtide.pub. And you can sign up for my free monthly newsletter there. It goes out the first of every month. The next one, obviously, will go out in September 1st. And we've got all kinds of... We also list where we're going to be appearing in there. We also put in some special videos for your entertainment. Next show that we've got, like I said, is the Geek and Comic Con. Starts at 11 a.m. at the Evansville Museum of Art, History, and Science. Just signed up for it like a couple days ago. It's at 411 Southeast Riverside Drive in Evansville, Indiana. There's going to be a whole bunch of cool people. Sean Delaney will be down there. I will be there. And then after that, on the 9th and 10th of September, I will be at SilCon at Cross County Mall in Mattoon, Illinois. SilCon is back, and we're going to have a lot of fun. Carl Witzman will be there. Donna Carlene will be there. I believe Kathy Jackson will be there. Amy Hale might be wandering around. Lacey Lemke, a whole bunch of great Rising Tide people. Come see us in Mattoon on the 9th and 10th. And then on 17th, I don't have it written down in my book here, but I'm going to be in Tennessee giving a lecture with Andy Shaggy Cordy of Empire Comics Lab and Freestyle Comics. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then got a couple shows in October, but if you want to find out where all we're going to be, please sign up for the Rising Tide newsletter. And you'll also find links to our YouTube channel. Please go there, like and subscribe. We've got some really cool ideas for some new shows coming up, including the return of Clever Title Pending. And in closing comments, Lissy says, Otts isn't too far from me. I think I've heard of Otts. Maybe I've heard about it from your dad. But Lissy, thank you for being here. And Cindy, thank you for being a part of the adventure. Always a pleasure to have you. Check out ckoepp.com and sign up for her great newsletter. It comes out around the 25th of the month, and it's fantastic. So please check that out. And so, as always, we want to thank our Patreon subscribers. Check us out at www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris and find out what we give you in return for your monthly financial support. And also want to thank Rising Tide Publications, which I'm very fond of, and we've got some special stuff coming up. We're expanding our services coming soon. We'll have more information on that as it ensues. And we also want to thank our sponsor, Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now, it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasmafire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasmafire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
And if you're looking for spiffy covers on your book, your comic book, whatever, and graphics to help you sell it, then definitely go to the Facebook page for Plasmafire Graphics. Then bop on over to plasmafiregraphics.com and ask about Jeff Hayes' very friendly indie creator pricing. That's Plasmafire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you, because it definitely matters to your readers. And let's see, and with that, we thank you all for being here. We will be back next Thursday with more reviews, more discussion, more food. I'm hungry. Let's get to the refrigerator. And anyway, as always, folks, thank you again for being here. And we hope to see you next week on next Thursday's edition of Comic Book Spectrum. Remember, stay smart, stay safe, wash your hands, and never apologize for being awesome. Thank you, and we'll see you in a week here on Comic Book Spectrum.